All right, this is the detention docket for the 323rd District Court on February 10th, 2021. To comply with the Texas Supreme Court Emergency Order number 33, we are conducting these proceedings via Zoom to avoid in-person contact inside the courtroom. However, to comply with the Texas Constitution, Article 1, Section 13, also known as the Open Courts Act, we are broadcasting these proceedings on YouTube so the public has meaningful access to what occurs inside a public courtroom. I would like to remind everyone this is still this is a court setting and a court hearing. People are expected to behave appropriately for court. That means please do not be laying down. Please be dressed appropriately. Do not use the restroom. Do not have moving backgrounds or being in a moving vehicle. I do expect all people to have their cameras on unless you are an officer of the court, at which point you may turn your camera off if you have other business to take care of for this court or other courts. No portion of this broadcast may be recorded or broadcast. Violations of this order are punishable by contempt of court of up to 6 months in the Tarrant County Jail and a $500 fine. So let's go ahead and proceed. Well, first of all, there's iPhone Taylor. Please turn your camera on. All right, so we're going to start with Mr. Demerson. I believe he's the one in the Tarrant County Jail. Mr. Demerson, this is a 10-day hearing. You've been in custody on a warrant from us for 10 days, so I'm determining whether to release you or keep you here. If I keep you here, you'll see a judge every 10 days. You have a right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. So let's see. Fort Worth Police brought you in on a warrant for robbery. Victim said he was riding his bike through Hallmark Baptist Church to watch baseball. He was approached by you and somebody else, and they threatened to jump you jump him if he didn't give you his money. So he gave $28. They'd known you before, and they had identified you in a lineup. So in March, we released you on an EM to go to your grandmother's funeral, and we left you out. However, in May, you cut off your electronic monitor, and so we issued a warrant for you. In September, there was another report for aggravated robbery. Then back in June, the victim said you approached him behind the Walgreens on South Hewlin. Said you were going to rob him. You lifted your hoodie and exposed a gun, gave you $16. You said that wasn't enough. So evidently they said that you made him walk to the 7-Eleven, withdraw money from the ATM to give to you. And there was surveillance from both the Walgreens and the 7-Eleven. So you were brought here on the adult charge. Okay, so you're currently in Tarrant County Jail for an adult robbery charge and a juvenile robbery charge. When I let you go to your grandmother's funeral, you cut off your EM and ran. And your hearing is set for certification before me on February 25th. So I just feel like if I let you go, you would run again. So I think it's better for you and the community for me to go ahead and keep you in custody. Do we have a parent here for Mr. Demerson? No? Okay.
Done. I don't see one.
All right, Mr. Demerson, we will see you. I might see you for another 10-day hearing before. I might see you on the 25th. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but hopefully we'll figure out what's happening in your case in the near future. Yes, sir. Do you have a question for me?
Yes, I got a court date on the 25th.
On the 25th.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Demerson.
All right, thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Mr. Koye. All right, Lorenzo Bird. All right, Mr. Bird, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. The law says when a child's in custody, you have to see a judge every 10 days. So I have to decide whether to keep you here to release you. If I keep you, you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have Michelle Bryan. Please turn your camera on. This is a court proceeding, so your camera does have to be on. All right, so if I detain you here, Mr. Bird, then you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You do have a right to remain silent. You have a right to attorney. Michelle Bryan, you have your last chance to turn your camera on. Otherwise, I'll remove you from this hearing. All right. Okay, so Mr. Bird. This is the one, okay, Haltom City with the Uber Eats driver. Neighbor came out, saw female on the ground with blood coming from her. And so surveillance video matched. Let's see. Before we had talked about how, I guess you were identified. Definitely during an interrogation, it said that she couldn't find the keys. And so the respondent stabbed the victim in the neck. And on January 27th, the detective from Haltom received a message, contacted the Chicago area, talked to the agent, said that this information, that there was a confidential informant who provided the name, Zachariah Marshall, gave me information about the homicide that had not been released to the public, including the weapon and manner of death and location of injury. Contacted them to investigate it. I also got the name of Lorenzo, and there was a plan for you and Mr. Marshall to be taken into custody. And so they set up an Uber ride by the police to apprehend you. All right. Lorenzo, you are level 1 outstanding. I'm glad to see that. It's a very serious charge, especially considering the fact that there were plans made for you to escape the jurisdiction of this court. I'm concerned that you would not appear for court if I was to release you. At this point, I'm going to detain you. Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm here. I was a little bit delayed in the audio. I'm not sure if you know that I'm here.
All right. Hello, Ms. Herrick. Yes, so he,
Hi.
I'm concerned about him going to appear for court. There's also an issue about danger to the community and danger to yourself. I'm not comfortable. I mean, I have released homicide children before, children accused of homicide, but it usually takes a little while for me to be comfortable. So I'm detaining him for now.
I understand that. I would like to point out to the court, the last time he had a detention hearing, the whereabouts of his mother were unknown. Like, probation wasn't able to find her. She's
Okay.
now available. I've talked to her, and I'm not sure if Patsy's talked to her, but she's certainly available too. So he does have a home to go to now, and a parent who will be here. And he also has some other, friendly adults who are willing to take him in and, supervise him during this, pre-hearing time.
I understand. And it appears that mother is in the parents' courtroom right now.
Great.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Herrick.
Thank you.
Next, we have Eric Cuevas. All right, Mr. Cuevas, good morning. I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. When a child's brought to our facility, you have to see a judge within 2 days. All right, so Eldridge Bryant, please turn your camera on. Thank you. So, Eric, within 2 days, you have to see a judge. I have to decide whether to keep you in custody or to release you. If I keep you here, you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You do have a right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. We have appointed Mr. Adler in the interim to be your attorney. All right, so, Mr. Cuevas, let's look at your case. You were previously referred here in September of 2019 for aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon, a firearm. And then in January of last year, about a year ago, you were placed on probation for the aggravated robbery. Your probation would expire January of 2022. So now, according to police, on Tuesday, yesterday, about 5 o'clock, police were dispatched to a theft call over at I-20 and Granbury Road. Call said somebody was following a black Honda occupied by 4 suspects who stole his son's money. There was a traffic stop. Driver was identified as you. Other suspects were also identified. According to the complainant, the son was attempting to purchase an iPhone using OfferUp. Seller told the victim to meet at the victim's residence to purchase the phone. Black Accord arrived. Victim approached the vehicle. The driver said the phone was in the back seat, rolled the window down. At that point, the person on the back seat snatched his money and pushed him away from the vehicle. Then the Accord sped off. The victim ran inside and notified the father. They both left and pursued the vehicle, and a total of $250 was taken. And you're on probation, and it turns out we give you a drug test, and you're smoking weed while you're on probation. See, in the month of January, entire month, you went to school 1 day. So, all right, so, well, Ms. Lopez, are you here?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is he doing anything right on probation?
Not in the last few months, Your Honor. He's really declining his production. Apparently, he thinks nothing can happen to him. We've been having some issues getting a hold of him. And like I said, he's going to Casada, but he only went 1 day. I was contacted by Casada High School. They're trying very hard to work with him, but he's not responding.
Okay, so is his probation determinate sentence or indeterminate?
Indeterminate, Your Honor.
Determinate, okay. All right, well, Eric, I'm gonna let you know you're on probation. When you ask for probation, you're basically telling me that you're asking me to give you one more chance to show that you can do right and follow all the rules, and that's why you don't need to go to TJJD. If you violate your probation, you're telling me that you can't follow the rules, and we have to look at other options. So at this point, you're on probation, you're skipping school, you're smoking weed, and evidently you're committing new offenses. And so I'm very concerned, and same type of offense that you're on probation for. So I'm very concerned about releasing the community. Now I see your hand is raised. If you have a question for me, I don't mind answering your question, but I'm certain your attorney, Mr. Adler, does not want you to tell me anything. This is not a trial. This is not about whether you did or not. This is simply about whether I should detain you. So do you have a question for me, or do you want to tell me something?
I just want to say that ever since
No, hold on. We say I want to say, that's you're telling me something.
Yeah.
Your attorney, Mr. Adler, am I correct? You're telling your client, do not tell me anything.
Correct. There's nothing you can tell judge is going to change his mind if that's what
Okay.
you're trying to do.
Nah, I was just trying to let them know that, like,
Whoa, Eric, I'm trying to protect you. I'm not the enemy here. I want to make sure, because there's a DA that's listening and taking notes. I don't want you to say anything that they can use against you to put yourself in a spot. You understand what I'm saying? So this is simply about detaining you. It's not about whether you did or not. That's something we can catch up with later, okay? All right, thank you, Eric. All right, so I would like to remind everyone, this is still a court proceeding, so you're expected to be on camera. So Ms. Taylor, you can't step away from the camera. If you're gonna do that, then you just have to come to court next time. Mr. Bradley, you need to be on camera, right? It's really gonna be the last warning for everyone. Zoom is here as a convenience and to assist the parents who may have conflicts in their schedule. But at the end of the day, you can't be required to come to court. And we're trying to be accommodating, but we don't need an empty screen. All right, next one, we have Pedro Flores. Mr. Flores?
yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Flores, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. The law says when a child's brought to our facility, you have to see a judge within 2 days. I have to decide whether to keep you here or release you. If I keep you, the law says you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You do have a right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. The attorney appointed to your case is Mr. Adler. Good morning, Mr. Adler.
Morning, Judge.
So, Pedro, let's see, you're 14 years old. You were brought in last August for evading arrest with a motor vehicle and unauthorized use of motor vehicle. You were placed on probation for evading arrest with a motor vehicle. And then yesterday, Fort Worth PD brought you in for unauthorized use of motor vehicle. I guess your mom contacted Fort Worth PD about 1:30 to say her son had taken her car without permission and ran away. It's also noted your father said that you were no longer in the living room. When he checked his room, he noticed that the window was open and observed your mom's car pulling out of the driveway. About 3 o'clock, police found the vehicle and followed the vehicle that pulled into a driveway. And you were identified as the driver. So mom said when she came to the scene, she asked to speak to Pedro, but Pedro spitted on both parents' faces and started to insult them. And so you were brought here and I said spit. And we gave you a drug test. And so you're on probation for taking a car, evading arrest. Now, evidently, you have taken a car without permission and you're smoking weed while on probation. So it seems like you're not engaging with your MHMR therapist and you're not taking help and you're saying no one can help you. And your mom is saying you don't accept any rules and you're out of control. You leave whenever you want. You don't go to school. And well, tell you what, you don't know me, Pedro, but I will let you know that kids respecting their parents is one of the most important things to me. So if you're going to spit on your parents, I don't think you deserve your parents. So I'm going to go ahead and detain you. Thank you. Maurice Howard. Eldridge Bryant, for the last time, your camera needs to be on. Okay, I'm tired of, from now on, people, I'm going to start removing parents from here if you can't behave appropriately for court. You can just appear here in person. Zoom is here as a convenience for everyone. We have the facility set up where the parents can appear remotely. I'm only doing this as long as people can behave appropriately. All right, Mr. Howard, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. When a kid's brought to our facility, you have to see a judge within 2 days. I have to decide whether to keep you here or to release you. If I keep you here, then the law says you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. We have appointed Mr. Adniji as your attorney in the interim. Good morning, Mr. Adniji.
Morning, Judge.
I don't know why Mr. Bryant feels like he can talk on the phone and walk around in court. All right, Mr. Howard. Back in 2019, you were placed on probation, or for, okay, 2019, you were arrested for assault bodily injury on December 4th. Evidently, you were let go, and on December 11th, you were arrested for possession of controlled substance and like a shoplifting case. You got probation on May 29th of 2020. That will expire this year. And then yesterday, about 9:30, Marco's pizza manager contacted Fort Worth police saying that a person with a weapon was over on North Tarrant Parkway. Earlier that day, an employee told the black male's girlfriend not to feed the stray cats. An employee showed her the posted sign. This made the girl upset because she didn't like being told what to do. So you have an employee that doesn't like being told what to do. It's like employee of the year. It's like Stephanie. All right. She said it first, y'all, just so you know. Okay, this made the girl upset. She didn't like being told what to do. She told her boyfriend about the situation. Later on, black male came up with a black handgun in his hand and was unsuccessful entering the business since the doors were locked from an earlier disturbance. What the heck is going on at Marco's Pizza? All right, so black male was a former employee of the pizza place, and they knew who Maurice was. So he tried to open the front door, pointing the handgun at the business, motioned with his handgun for the employees to open the door. He called the business using his cell phone and asked the employee to open the front. Mr. Miller, are you here?
Yes, Judge.
So do I get this right? He's a former employee, shows up to a place where people know him, doors are locked, waves a handgun, then calls him and asks him to open the door while he's holding a gun?
I believe the call came previous to him coming up there.
Okay.
He called the general manager, but I'm not really sure on the police report. It's not real clear when the call was made. If it was before or after he came up there with a gun.
So the employee refused to open the door because he was afraid that Maurice was going to use the weapon. So Maurice called the general manager. Manager accessed the employee files, found a record for Maurice with the same number that was called from. Police got there. They saw him fleeing the scene in a white Honda Accord. There's surveillance video, and they matched the car with the one in front of Maurice's house. So the photo lineup, they picked Marco out of the lineup. Picked him out of the lineup. There was a warrant issued, and then later on they picked him at his home and he was brought here for the offense of deadly conduct. Maurice, you're 16 years old. We gave you a drug test since you're on probation, and you're positive for marijuana and cocaine. So you're on probation. You have a gun. You're on probation for a violent offense. Now you're on video with a gun, waving it around, and you're using cocaine and marijuana. Mr. Miller, is he doing anything right on probation?
Your Honor, he does communicate with me well. We have been having issues with the JJEP he's been attending, but he's been available for all visits with me. He's been doing that well.
Okay. So are you mom? You're here for Maurice?
Yes, sir.
You have any idea where this gun came from?
I do not.
Okay. Mom, I need to let you know, I don't think we've met before, but
No.
I have a really big problem with kids with guns. I think you probably do too. If it was up to you, you wouldn't approve of this behavior either. So my general rule of thumb is that whenever a child is brought in here for a gun offense, I always hold them. I need to make sure that they don't have access to other weapons or end up using weapons in other offenses. So at this point, I'm detaining them. Fortunately, the gun wasn't fired. Nobody was hurt or killed, but this is obviously a deep, deep concern for everyone. And so I just like to tap the brakes, slow down, make sure we're very careful about what we're doing before I release a kid that's brought here on guns. Now, the second question for you is, did you know your son's using cocaine?
I did not know, but I had a slight idea. When he
You
was,
probably had an idea about weed, but probably not the cocaine.
I did. I had asked him before. There was an incident where he was pulled over and they told me they saw something that kind of looked like a dollar bill rolled up or something that he may have been using it. And I asked him, in which he denied it at that time.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess he was lying to you.
Obviously.
Yeah. And so, all right. Well, Mom, hopefully this is information that you'd want to know as a mother about what your son's doing. This whole process is about the court trying to help the parents and the parents trying to help the court for all of us to work together to help kids like Maurice. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Sergio Mata.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning. So, Mr. Mata, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing when a kid's brought in to our facility. You need to see a judge within 2 days. I have to decide whether to keep you in custody or to release you. If I keep you here, you need to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You do have a right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, we'll provide one for you. We have appointed Mr. Sierra as your attorney for this case. All right, so Mr. Mata, you're 15 years old. You were brought in last January, a year ago, for criminal mischief. We let you out, and then you were arrested for assault bodily injury of a family member and terroristic threat of a family member. That's February. Oh, that's what we're here for today. See what happened. I guess this morning you were brought in by Fort Worth PD saying yesterday about 10 o'clock, police were dispatched to a domestic. Dad said you had a family night at a restaurant. On the way home, you turned on music that the dad found inappropriate. So kudos to Dad for setting boundaries. He told you to turn it down. You became upset, insulting him. And you said you would kick his ass. Then you punched him in the face with a closed fist. Then they're saying that the victim, Dad was driving his vehicle at a high rate of speed on North Freeway. When he was trying to stop, evidently you reached over and poked him in the eye to not lose complete control of the vehicle. He stepped on his brakes and was able to stop on the shoulder of the freeway. So then he punched you in the face, and then you reacted by putting Dad in a headlock and began to punch him. And then after it was over, evidently you told your dad you would stab him once you got home. Mom was in the vehicle. Once you got home, you went to the restroom, and Mom thought you might be getting a razor or other cutting equipment. And your old criminal mischief case from last year is set for court on March 4th. I don't know. Sergio, I don't even know what the juvenile justice system can do for kids like you, but hopefully your attorney can find one. So at this point, I'm not going to let you go because you're going to go and cause more problems. I mean, look at your attitude right now. Look at the way you're sitting in this chair. It's like, stop making yourself a victim. Take responsibility for your own bad decisions. I'm going to go ahead and detain you. Thank you, Sergio. Marvin Velador. Marvin, I'm Judge Kin. This is a detention hearing. The law says when a child is brought to a facility, you have to see a judge within 2 days. I have to decide whether to keep you in custody or to release you. If I keep you here, you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You do have a right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. We have appointed Mr. Yanez as your attorney. Is Carrie here? I haven't seen him
Yes,
yet.
Judge, I'm actually in the parents' room, and I'm here with the mother.
Okay, hello. Good to see you, Carrie. You been well?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, so Marvin, you're where's Marvin? Okay, you're 16 years old. And let's see, back in August, you were brought here for a robbery case. Evidently, we let you go. Let me ask this. Mr. Nava, was it robbery, no weapon involved?
There was a weapon involved, but no weapon was recovered.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Saying about August 16th, around 5 o'clock, police were dispatched to Academy. Oh, that's right. This is the one where there's supposed to be a setup to sell some shoes. And they say you pulled out a handgun and then pointed the gun, drove off. Later on, we were pulled over on Stanley Keller. And they matched the truck to the one from the robbery. But there was like something about like relatives involved. I remember this one's kind of confusing. All right, so you have this pending robbery case. And we released it on electronic monitor on September 10th. You went 2 months without a problem, so we removed the electronic monitor. So now, yesterday, Fort Worth PD brought you in. Somebody called 911 saying that somebody stole his son's money. He was purchasing phone via OfferUp. 4 people showed up a black Accord. Oh, this is a companion case, the one we heard earlier with Eric. Okay, so you were in the front passenger seat, 2 adults in the back. They found cash. And one of the adults said that the OfferUp account was his and met the victim sell the phone. He said he took 100, Eric and Marvin took 100, and the other adult took 50. And you're positive for weed. So while you have this case pending for a robbery case, now you're smoking weed, and evidently you are now involved in another robbery case. So, well, Marvin, it's pretty clear if I let you go, then you would just get involved in more robbery cases. So I'm going to go and detain you. Yes, Mr. Yanez.
Can I just at least say something here? I mean,
Yes, sir.
the new allegation is what brings us here today. And just reading even from what's in this detention report, he's the front passenger of it. A back passenger is the one who allegedly grabs the money out of the victim's hands. I believe Eric, who was just had his hearing, he was the driver. When the police find them, they search them and they find money on the other 3. They don't find any money on Marvin. And then that last sentence is the only thing that would really connect them in any way is, I mean, other than just being merely present. He stated that he used his phone, Marvin stated, he used his phone to locate the address where the offense occurred. But that doesn't mean that he knew what the backseat passenger was going to do.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not clear at all, even just accepting these facts as if they were true, that's not clear that he's committed an offense.
I understand, but he's still smoking weed while he has a pending case.
I don't have much to say about that one.
I understand. And so I see the potential problems with the case, and that's certainly a fight for you to take up with the DA. But if he has a pending case and he's smoking weed, I've just, I mean, especially with this supposed to be wrapping up pretty soon. His next court date, when is it?
It's March 8th.
Right. Yeah, it's just coming up. So, and it's been a while.
Well, and I'll just point out, I mean, he has been out really without problem. I mean, until this new allegation. There is the positive drug test. I mean, that's a problem. I'll admit that. His mother's here. She speaks Spanish. I'd be happy to interpret if the court has any questions of her. But speaking with her before this hearing, she says he's been doing fine at home. He's been following their rules and not.
Well, hopefully, smoking weed is a violation of the rule. So there's a smoking weed, and he's also associating with a kid that's currently on juvenile probation, which would be one of his conditions. And so, I mean, he can't be doing that either. And You know, it's one of those, I have great discretion on this one. You know, it's, while the new offense has its merits and has its weaknesses, the fact is he's smoking weed and he's hanging out with other kids who are on probation while he has a pending case. He knew better. So at this point, I'm going to go and detain him, and we'll reassess this in the future. It's not a permanent thing, but we'll reassess it. All right.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Yanis.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
All right. So at this point, this concludes my portion of the detention docket today. I'm going to turn this over to Judge Porter. Thank you, Judge Porter.
Thank you, Judge Kim. Jarris Brothers. Are you Mr. Brothers?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brothers, my name is Judge Porter. The law says when you're brought into detention and initially detained, you must see a judge every 10 business days thereafter. This is your 10-day hearing. You have the right to remain silent. You also have the right to an attorney, and your attorney, Ms. McGonigal, is here. I will note that you achieved level 1-0 this morning. The court has previously found that probable cause exists to believe that you engaged in delinquent conduct sufficient to warrant your detention. You have prior referrals to the department. In fact, if I remember correctly, last year, you had to get to level 1-0 and maintain it for 3 days before you were released. You eventually did that and earned your release last time. You've been brought in this time for allegedly being involved in an assault and unlawfully carrying a weapon. Ms. McGonigal, what are your thoughts?
Your Honor, Jarris mentioned to me that he was actually on level 1A. That was the dip, but he had been on level 1-0 for that dip. He has access to no weapons in the house. I understand that this is a weapon allegation and the court is extremely concerned about that. But he has assured me that he has no access if he's allowed to go home today on a monitor. So he would be asking the court for that.
All right. I am not comfortable releasing you yet because you haven't proven that you can maintain level 1 outstanding. Do so for 7 days, and Ms. McGonigal, you can maintain level 1-0 between now and next Wednesday. We'll have good reason to reconsider this.
Okay.
As for today, I'm going to order his detention. Now, Mr. Brothers, let me make this clear. This is not a promise that you get out next Wednesday. Instead, that you maintaining level 1-0 for 7 days continuous without a single dip will begin that conversation for me. Okay? But it's not a guarantee. It's not a promise. It's not a bargain of any type. That's what I'm requiring before I will consider you for release. You understand?
Can I ask you something?
You can ask me something. Yes, sir.
So in 7 days, does that mean I will come back for a detention hearing?
If Ms. McGonigal requests it. Yes. Yes. All right. Thank you. That'll be the order of the court.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, somebody. Okay. Andrew, is it Gatanda?
Andrew Gatanda, Bruce Ashworth on behalf of Mr. Gatanda, Judge.
How are you, Mr. Ashworth? Good to see you.
Oh, good to see y'all. Sorry for the technical issues, but I think I'm okay now.
Looks good. Just waiting on.
Okay.
At least you're not a cat.
Yeah, I don't have a cat.
All right. Are you Mr. Gatanda?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gatanda, my name is Judge Porter. The law says when you're brought into detention and initially detained, you must see a judge every 10 business days thereafter. This is your 10-day hearing. You have the right to remain silent. You also have the right to an attorney, and your attorney, Mr. Ashworth, is here. I will note that you have been level 1 outstanding since January the 15th. Mr. Victorson, do we know guns that were allegedly stolen have yet been recovered?
They have not, to my knowledge. I've called the detective a number of times and he's promised to let me know if he does find them. I haven't heard from him.
Okay. Who is here on behalf of the DA's office? Zane, I believe this is your case. Do you know if all 6 firearms have been recovered?
That's not I have not heard that, Judge. And per the report, they were not recovered.
Okay. And Mr. Ashworth, do you have any lead?
Judge, may I be heard on that? Zane and I have been discussing this, and this question is come up, where are the weapons? Where are the weapons? I wish I knew where the weapons were, Judge. We don't know where the weapons are. We have an issue with our involvement in this offense, and that's not for this hearing, that's for the adjudication hearing. I personally called the detective myself and said, hey, I would tell you if we knew where the weapons are, we'd tell you, but you might go down this trap and maybe do this investigation and talk to these people, and maybe you might be able to find out where the weapons are, because detective, the unknown whereabouts of these weapons are unfortunately keeping my young man in detention. That's not to say that he's got another problem. I understand that, but Judge, he's been in there. He voluntarily surrendered. They did a search warrant of his mama's apartment. They didn't find anything. We found out he had a warrant. He self-surrendered to juvenile. He's been on a good level, I believe, since the 15th. I'm not putting a crown on his head, Judge, but he appears to be doing everything that he's supposed to be doing at a juvenile. I would request humbly that you allow him to go home to either set mom or dad, and you can ask mom or dad. I think they're both there. They're no longer married, but if he could have a monitor, y'all could monitor him and he'd jump through hoops, whatever y'all wanted him to do.
All right, Mr. Ashworth, I thank you. With those firearms still on the loose, it gives me great pause. However, as you said, we'll be able to revisit this case. Let's see, is it going to be, check. It'll be Friday of next week. So I will see everybody then. But between now and then, I'm going to also order that you be detained. Thank you, Mr. Goodtunda.
Thank you for your time, Judge. Zane, I'll be talking back to you, buddy.
All right.
Thank
Robert
you. I'm
Early.
going to leave the meeting, Judge.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ashworth. Good to see you. Robert Earl Lee.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning, Ms. Hopkins. How are you?
I'm well, sir. And yourself?
Better than I deserve. Are you Mr. Lee?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lee, my name is Judge Porter. The law says when you're brought into detention and initially detained, you must see a judge every 10 business days thereafter. This is your 10-day hearing. You have the right to remain silent. You also have the right to an attorney. And your attorney, Ms. Hopkins, is here. You see her on the screen. All right. He's shaking his head up and down. All right. Mr. Lee, did either myself or Judge Kim go over with you what your level needs to be before we can begin to consider releasing you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Level 3 confined is the worst behavioral level back in detention. Level 1 outstanding is the best. Where are you at?
I'm 2A.
Yes, sir. So because you're not one outstanding, what do I have to do today?
Detain.
Why do I have to do it?
I don't know.
Right. Because before we can think that you'll behave at home, you got to prove to us that you'll behave in detention. And if we don't have that evidence that you'll behave in detention, we have no reason to believe you'll behave at home, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what do you got to do between now and the next time we meet?
Oh, no.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you, sir. I'm going to
Your
order.
Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
may I speak to his levels?
Yes, ma'am.
His level dropped only in the last day and a half. He was on level 1O or 1A for the majority of the 28 days that he has been in detention. I know he has dropped a level, and that is an issue. However, Mr. Lee has been doing a very good job of maintaining that up until a recent incident, which he claims not to have been involved in during the school session yesterday.
If memory serves, it was more than just one incident. It was like 2 or 3 incidents all put together that dropped him from 1O to 2A.
Okay.
Am I misremembering?
Isn't.
I'm not asking you, Mr. Lee. I'm asking your attorney, because I don't want you to say anything that might get you in trouble. Does that am I remembering things correctly, Ms. Hopkins?
I believe your information may be different from mine.
Oh, okay.
So, but I do trust the court. If the court has that information from probation.
Well, I've been wrong before. Ms. Aguirre,
Yes,
Ms.
Your Honor.
Can you shed some light on this?
Yes, Your Honor. So Robert dropped down to level 1 acceptable due to being slow to comply ×3 over playful ×3. In the past, he has maintained level 1 outstanding. However, there have been some times where he was dropped to level 2 due to having contraband in his possession.
Okay, and this most recent drop from 1 outstanding to 2 acceptable, was that more than just one incident?
The detention records state he dropped from level 1 acceptable to level 2 acceptable as of today for losing points from first shift, but it doesn't specify what the infractions were.
And then yesterday he lost points for being slow to comply ×3 and over playful ×3?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, so it wasn't just one little thing. All right.
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
I see that now. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Lee, you are going to see me Thursday of next week. We'll have a hearing. So between now and then, I want you to get back to level 1 outstanding, because if you do that, then at the hearing next Thursday, I'll know that. I'll know that you're doing everything you're supposed to do in the back, and that'll put you in the best position in front of me next Thursday. All right?
All right.
Thank you, sir. All right. Vija Potter. Good morning, Ms. Potter. How are you doing?
Good.
All right. We've met before. My name's Judge Porter. The law says when you're brought into detention and initially detained, you've got to see me every 10 business days. I'm the one who ordered you to Desert Lily. How let's see, how are we doing, Mr. Houston? Does she have a plane ticket yet?
No, sir. Judge, may I interrupt? Your audio quality is very poor at present. It's as though wind noise was happening on a jacket mic or something.
Yeah, that's coming from somebody else.
Ms. Blake, can you mute for a second to see if that by any chance is coming from you?
Mr. Youngblood, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you, Your Honor.
I can't hear you, Mr. Youngblood.
Oh. Well, that's odd. Now I can't hear you.
Judge, I can hear Mr. Youngblood if you can hear me.
It says you're muted, Your Honor. Digital noise. Still digital noise, almost like a cassette tape running on fast forward or something. David, are you still hearing me? Ms. Blake, you
Hear me
nod
okay?
your head. Are you hearing?
Mr. Ainsley gave me the thumbs up. All right. So, Mr. Houston, I was asking how the ICPC transfer process was going.
Was the delay due to the process purchasing, not putting in the contract for Desert Lily? So the placement was postponed.
Hey, did
I believe
Naya
was
Muslim
postponed.
have?
Okay. Do we have a timeline?
If the commissioner court signs it on the 16th, she will leave on the 22nd of this month.
Okay. Mr. Youngblood, have you had a chance to talk to Ms. Potter about all those arrangements?
Not the most recent news that I just heard now, but beforehand, yes. And she is not thrilled, but sanguine about it.
Potter, I share your, I know you're ready to go. So, so between now and then, I have to detain you pending your transfer to Desert Lily. So the 16th is next Tuesday. Let's hope that the Commissioner's Court hops on that and then we get it taken care of, okay? All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Youngblood.
Thank you.
Aubrey Sarno. I'll be right back, everybody. Good morning, Ms. Sarno. My name is Judge Porter. The law says when you're brought into detention and initially detained, you must see a judge every 10 business days thereafter. This is your 10-day hearing. Let's go ahead and admit Ms. Sarno's mom. Waiting on Justine Sarno to come in. All right. Ms. Sarno, you have the right to remain silent. You also have the right to an attorney, and your attorney, Mr. Adler, is here. I'll note that you've been level 1 outstanding since January 27th. You have an adjudication disposition scheduled before me in about a week and a half. Yes, a week from Monday. So, Mr. Adler, what are your thoughts?
Judge, I believe she was told if she held level 1-0 for 7 days, that her mom would be in agreement with her going home. It's one of those cases, peaks and valleys. I hate to say this over detention hearing Zoom, but she was a CPS child. Ms. Sarno was kind enough to adopt her, doing everything she can for her. It's my understanding today she's willing to give her another chance at home on the monitor.
All right. Justine Sarno, if you'll turn your microphone on.
Hi.
Were you
Your
able
Honor.
to hear what Mr. Adler just said?
I did. Yes, I did.
And Aubrey has been level 1 outstanding for not just 7 days, but looks like almost 2 full weeks.
Yes, Your Honor.
So what do you think? Do we give her a second chance?
Yes, yes.
And we do that because this time she's earned it, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, now Aubrey, you've earned this chance to go home. Do you want to go home?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what do you think I expect from you when you go home?
To stay level 1-0 at home.
Exactly. Are you willing to do that for me and for your mom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Adler, any additional thoughts?
All right, Judge. No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank
Am I remembering correctly that there's been 1 or 2 past instances of running away?
Yes,
So
sir.
this is going to be appropriate where we release you on the electronic monitor. You can't cut it off, Aubrey, okay? That's
Yes,
the
sir.
absolute worst thing you can do. Because as long as you keep that on, even if you have to go into the backyard to take a stress break, we'll be able to tell that you're only in the backyard. And if you're only in the backyard for like 15 minutes, then you'll come and tell us, I need to go to the backyard for a stress break. That's believable. But if you cut it off, we have no idea where you are or anything like that. That's the first thing. Second thing is you promised me you'd maintain level 1.0, correct?
Yes, sir.
Third thing, I want you to keep in touch with Miss Sandra, okay? And talk to her. If you feel like you're getting stressed out at home, pick up the phone and call her and tell her you're feeling stressed out and tell her why you're feeling stressed out, because she can help you. She can talk you through some things and she can give you some ideas on how to deal with that stress, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, so 3 things. Keep the monitor on. Second thing, level 1.0 for me, right? Third thing is,
Keep
Miss Sandra?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna authorize her release on the electronic monitor.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, finally, Angel Manuel Torres Salazar.
Yes, sir.
All right. My name is Judge Porter. The law says when you're brought into detention and initially detained, you must see a judge every 10 business days thereafter. This is your 10-day hearing. You have the right to remain silent. You also have the right to an attorney, and your attorney, Mr. Sierra, is here. Oh, dearie me, sir. You are on level 3 confined. Why is that bad news for both you and me?
It's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. What's your level supposed to be before I can even consider you for release?
1.0.
Yes, sir. But you're at the polar opposite of that spectrum, right? You're not level 1.0, you're level 3 confined.
It wasn't my fault.
Oh, give me a break. Nobody gets to level 3 confined without being responsible for at least some of it. So no, what you selling, I ain't buying, sir.
That dude
Your attorney putting his finger over his mouth?
Yeah.
He didn't want you to say anything. Because anything you say, while it can't be used against you, it might give ammunition for the DA's office to use against you. Now, do you want to give the DA ammunition to use against you?
I'm good.
There we go. All right. Mr. Sierra, we all know what I got to do, but give it your best shot.
Judge, given the circumstances and the offenses that he has, I don't think we have a good faith argument to make to the court.
All right. Mr. Torres Salazar, I have to order that you be detained today. Get everything in order. Get back to level 1.0 for me. You've been there before. You just didn't hold it very long. Get back there for me, okay? That makes your attorney's job easier. Thank you, sir. That concludes today's detention hearings. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.